So the polygonal lasso tool can be used to trace out anything. I mean, even things that have a curve, because about 8 segments per 90 degrees gives the visual impression of a curve. And you can see, you guys have started doing 3D. Most of the objects you make have got flat polygons. Just by increasing the number of polygons, this object starts appearing smooth, but they're all flat. Same thing with these lines. Flat segments can give you the appearance of a curve. So you can actually go around using the polygonal tool this way. But our strength lies in using the pen tool, and we have to use the pen tool when we get to Illustrator. I'll give you a brief overview of the pen tool. So I click gives a point, and whenever you're in a straight line, you go draw a point, you get a straight line. A click and a drag gives out a handle. The way you turn the handle gives you the angle of the curve, see that? And the amount you drag the handle gives you the amount of the curve. So there are two things here, the direction of the handle and the stretch of the handle. I'm just going very carefully here. The objective of this exercise is to create a clipping mask, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I want to reveal something, a city inside the silhouette of this character. So I'm using the pen tool right now to just make a selection. The pen tool is click for a sharp point, click and drag for a curve. The amount of drag and the angle of drag determines how your curve will look. So I'm just going to take some quick liberties here. That's a sword. And when you use the pen tool, what it's actually doing is it's creating a path for you. And just like you have layers on the side, you have paths. Okay. I mentioned in the first class, one of the key things in Photoshop is your ability to make sharp and nice selections. The pen tool is a great asset, and especially when you get to a vector based package where there is limited use of tools like magic wand and selections, the pen tool is your only savior. And one of the first exercises we'll do in Illustrator is to actually master the pen tool. So as you come closer to the starting point, just make your cursor hover over this starting point, and your cursor changes into a cursor with a circle. This is visual communication. The interface is actually talking to you through these icons. So when you move your cursor over this icon, the icon becomes a circle indicating, hey, I'm about to close. And the more you use software, the more you get used to this kind of visual communication with software. And there are some standard rules, there are some non-standard rules, and these companies keep suing each other for copying each other's interface ideas. But I think more or less now they have agreed on a way of communicating with the user to make things easier for the user, to make the software easy for the user to use. So this actually is indicating that this is about to close, and that's how I know I'm at the right point, and then I will click. Okay. So now my path has closed, no selection. But if I go to path, you can see this is my path. Let me just hide my layer. If I double click this, and I can then hide it, and you can see that's my path there. So when my path is selected, you can see it. Okay. On the right hand side here, you can see there's an arrow, and I mentioned earlier, wherever you see a tiny triangle, it means there are more options. So one of the options for the path is I can delete it, and one more is I can make this into a selection. You know those marching ants? Bang. It must be anti-aliased, otherwise you will see those jagged edges. If you don't want it too smooth, keep the feather radius as 0. Feathering is that soft edges you get on the side. So there you go, my selection. One more way of making a selection, I wanted to show this to you. On my layers, I'll make one more layer and fill this with black. I'll just fill it with black. Doesn't matter, I'm going to put something inside it. I want to show you clipping mask. The way clipping mask works is, suppose I want a picture inside this, any picture. You keep your selection below, keep your image on top, keep your selection below, keep your image on top. Now you can either right click here on the side and say create clipping mask, or you can press the alt key and come between these two layers. Can you see those two circles? I was talking to you about how software communicate with the user. You know, there is no audio here, there is no vocal communication, there is no eye contact, but these changes in the icons. This one says, oh, you can click and drag, and if I press the alt key and I hover over here, I get an icon, and if I click, what has happened is this one has gone inside wherever there's a pixel, which means on the bottom layer, if I come and actually paint something else, see, this also is a part of the clipping mask. So we have seen layer mask and now we have seen clipping mask. Now I don't have to actually keep this guy inside. I can put anything inside. Let's get this poster, for example. Now which one was I working on? So I've got another image. I'm going to just paste that image here. By default it has gone inside as a clipping mask. Let me just remove it as a clipping mask first. So I don't need to have this image. I can have any image inside this mask, and this is something that you can use for your poster design. You can actually have any image, press the alt key, and you can see this has gone. You have one Assassin's Creed inside another Assassin, and so on. You can really take any image. You can take a texture. Let me get you. I could even take the graffiti and just gonna copy this, edit, copy merged. I'm going to delete this layer, delete this layer. I'm going to paste one more layer, my graffiti, scale it up. Again, if I press the alt key, or let me show you the other way. If you press the right click or control click, create clipping mask, same thing. So, and now if you want a shadow, the shadow actually has to be applied to this guy. See that? I'm going to show one more thing and we'll end this here. So you can apply those effects that I showed you to text, and I'll come back and finish this off. Give this a title. But if you wanted to put something like effects, I'm just going to scale my font a bit. You can choose for this fill. There's a fill option here to be 0, and then you can start with no fill. You can start applying some of these effects, and the fill will disappear. That's another way of doing things. So you can choose an inner shadow without a drop shadow. You can choose from which way the light is going to fall, and see this. This is the angle of the light. You can choose which way the light is going to fall, and accordingly the shadow adjusts itself. If you are going to use something like a bevel, you don't want the fill to be a 0. You can apply your gradients. You can apply, I'll just apply any gradient here. You can apply your gradients, you can apply your bevels, you can apply your shadows. Question? And it's up to you. You want a soft bevel, you want a hard bevel, and there are tons of tutorials. You can go endlessly just playing with these things. But there's one thing I wanted to show you. Let's say I put a title on this guy. I put a title, clipping, mask. I take a title, I put it into the center, I bring it here, just a bit of a scale here. Now one thing you can do is, quite often you want the text to go behind a particular character in your scene. So you've got this still image, you want to insert text in such a way that the text is actually sitting merged inside the scene. So you can do that in many ways. I'll show you one way. You can create a mask on the text, and wherever you paint black, that becomes transparent, right? And you probably need a sharper brush here, so I'll just take one of these brushes and I'm painting with black. See what happens? In fact, I can load my selection from the path and I can fill that with black, and even that would work. So let me try that. So if I have my path, I click on my path, I go here, make selection, and in my layers, in the mask, if I now fill this with black, edit, fill, black, black is transparent. See what has happened? The text has gone behind the character. And if there was some other part of the scene, it would appear as if, and let me probably get that. So if I had actually seen at the back, and if I had this similar scene in the front, and you can see my character is here. Actually, let me get now I think this will work better. Let me delete this. Let me bring my original guy. Yeah, so you can see if I have the original guy, what happens? It looks as if the text has gone behind the character, and because it's a dark scene, I'll just change this to, just change the color to white. But that's a very fluid way, a very nifty way of getting text and putting it in the scene, merging it in the scene. So you can see that, and it is sitting there mainly because of this mask here. Okay, it's got a mask on the side, and there you are. But I've shown you clipping mask, I've shown you your simple masks. Use these techniques, create your poster. I would strongly suggest that just try and first plan a layout for your poster. Don't just work on one big image. Just try and quickly sort of plan out what you're going to do on your poster, how much of this you're going to put as an image, where is your text going to appear. So you got to do a bit of planning. So let me just show you one more tool. When you start on your poster, make a new image. For your promotional thing, 2 semesters away, you need to make A3 posters, but for now, just go A4. So you have your A4 page, and you can use these rulers. You see these rulers on the side? If you don't see them, just press Ctrl R. Ctrl R will show and hide these rulers. You okay, Trent? Okay. Something or somebody is more entertaining than me. Okay. Okay. So I've got these rulers. If you click on the ruler and drag out a guide, you can start planning your layout. So the guide tends to snap to the in the middle of the page. I might have turned it off. So you can start saying, okay, this is my center. I'm going to keep a margin, a breather margin of 200 on this side, and another 200 on this side. And you can start saying, okay, that's where my picture is going to be. That's where my title is going to be. Don't go too close to the edge. And you can start marking out areas for yourself. Okay. So use these techniques. You don't have to use all of them. There are two main considerations for your poster: your color scheme that you learned last week, and the composition. Techniques are just there to help you. I'm not insisting on any techniques. They're just there. You may need it, you may not need it. Call me over if you're trying something different, and we'll have a look at it. So I'll stop the recording here.